Welcome back to Hardball. President Bush and John McCain becoming a dual drag on the Republican Party. Joining me is Clarence Page of the Chicago Tribune and John Harris of Political Law. Let's go through these things right now. We've got some interesting quotes here, gentlemen. Here's Chris Shays, the last Republican member of Congress from New England. It is like, I mean, this is like the Whig Party up there. There's one left. Quote, here's what he says about presidential candidate John McCain. This is a Republican congressman, the last one in New England, Chris Shays of Connecticut. Quote, he has lost his brand as a maverick. He did not live up to his pledge to fight a clean campaign. John Harris, it looks to me like Chris Shays is out there on his own. He's sinking or swimming on his own. He's not riding with the Republican ticket in New England anymore.
Well, this is politics, and it truly is every man or every woman for himself at this point with McCain's campaign obviously in real trouble and Bush long since at toxic levels of popularity. I'm not sure that I agree with Chris Shays that if McCain had just run as the so-called 2000 version of McCain as a maverick independent, he would necessarily be doing a lot better. Remember, it was the choice of Sarah Palin that energized conservatives and seemed to give him leave him looking pretty good in September.
So does you agree with that, Clarence? It's not a question of which John McCain we got. We just got a Republican in a non-Republican year.
Well, John's right about Sarah Palin energizing McCain's base, but he abandoned the middle. That's the thing. You got to be able to hold both of them.
Would he have won the nomination if he ran on the middle?
If we could have kept the base and kept the middle, and it would have been tough. But you know, this ain't an easy game to play, especially in a year when your brand is damaged.
Catch this line. This is John Kyle, who's definitely a sidekick and total ally of John McCain. Here's his fellow Republican U.S. Senator from Arizona. Quote, unfortunately, I think John McCain may be added to that long list of Arizonans who ran for president but were never elected. Maybe we'll be able to say Arizona is the only state where your child can't grow up to be president. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Clarence, this is death knell stuff.
Don't blame Arizona.
Why is he like, he's
Arizona's
out there basically
nice
saying, he's basically saying his state is jinxed.
But, you know, I remember Barry Goldwater very well. I know, and I certainly remember John McCain very well. And in both cases. Well, Mo Udall as well. All three of them were mavericks in their own way. And that is a tough game to play. Again, you got to be able to hold your base. It's the first law in politics. But then you got to be able to hang on to the middle. Goldwater certainly didn't do that. He lost the middle. McCain is losing the middle. You know, it's a tug of war.
Gentlemen, I have a Pandora's box of these quotes, and they're just pouring out today. Here's David Frum, who was on the show a lot over the years. Quote, he was a speechwriter, one of the big ones for George W. Bush, the president. There are many ways to lose a presidential election. John McCain is losing in a way that threatens to take the entire Republican Party down with him. John, he is damning this guy as a party destroyer, not just as a guy who has a bad year.
No question, the circular firing squad is not waiting until after the election. It's waiting before. You know, there's people like David Frum who care a lot more about the conservative movement than they certainly care about John McCain. A lot of conservatives care more about the conservative movement than they care about how the Republican Party, not just the presidential level, but the House and Senate, do in any particular year. So, yeah, there's a bloodletting. It's already beginning even within the McCain campaign over who's responsible for a lot of these decisions.
Clarence, they used to call it fragging in the Vietnam War, where you shot your own guys. Here, your own officers. Catch this. This is Scott McClellan, who was fairly recently the White House spokesman. Right here he is, quote, from the very beginning I've said I'm going to support the candidate this year who has the best chance of changing the way Washington works and getting things done. I will be voting for Barack Obama. This is Scott McClellan. He used to stand at that presidential lectern speaking for President Bush.
Joining the other folks who've been deserting the ship. You know, fragging, yeah, fragmentation. That's what the Republican and the conservative movement are going through right now. They've gone through it before. And there are some conservatives and Republicans who say that maybe it's just as well if McCain loses, because people will sort of reassess and regroup, begin that process again that happened after Barry Goldwater. I'm not saying McCain's going to lose. You know, it may still pull it out, but
John,
you know, this is how people are talking now.
John, do you hear any Republicans saying this is a good year to kick the football and let the other side receive rather than take the football? Does anybody want to say it's better to lose in these economic environment, this environment right now?
I don't hear people saying that publicly. I hear a lot of people, Chris, operatives, some elected officials saying that privately because they feel like the party, not just John McCain, but you know, back for the past several years, has not followed genuine conservative principles. So they what Clarence says, there's sort of a ritual cleansing that some people feel the party needs. It'll be tough though, because they'll get more than a cleansing if the current trends stay on course for big House and Senate gains. It could take them years to get back to power from that kind of defeat, if in fact we see huge margins like that.
In Africa, they used to burn the fields so they'd come back green.
Well,
is that what this is about?
But Democrats are familiar with this, aren't they?
Okay,
you know,
we'll be right back
after every loss.
I want to talk about the slaughterhouse, the charnel house that's coming for Republican senators. We'll be right back. Oh, and thank you, by the way. We won't be back. Thank you, Clarence Page. Thank you, John Harris. Up next, Barack Obama is warning his supporters not to count their chickens before they hatch.